When this watch arrived from Formex, I knew almost nothing about it, and when I took it out of the box, my first impression was it wasn't great. I just didn't know what I was looking at, and as a strong American man, I certainly was not going to read some instructions or some description to figure out what I was looking at. So I guess I was initially a little confused and overwhelmed, but then, after wearing this Stratos UTC for a week, I've got some things to say. This is the most ambitious watch from Formex that I've worn, at least. A decade or more ago, Formex did have some wild-looking chronograph watches, somewhat complicated, mechanically, themed around motorsports usually. Not many people know that Formex has been around for 25 years, but my experience with Formex watches have been with the Reef watches and the Essence watches. Three-handers and GMTs, relatively simple, mostly under or around $2,000. Not this one though, not this new one. I guess I should start by explaining what all this is. First, we have a GMT complication, the hand with the small orange triangle. That's the GMT hand. Like most GMT hands, it makes a full rotation every 24 hours. The subdial at 6 o'clock is where the date is displayed. Right, that's a little pointer date situation down there. Near the center of the dial at the 9 o'clock side is a day-night indicator, not AM or PM, but day and night. I'll get into that soon. And then, what the hell are these pushers on the right side of the case for? This is not a chronograph. Those pushers are to adjust the hour hand. And this watch has a lot of tricks, but that's probably the coolest trick this watch has. I'll show you. There are 3 dial options for the Stratos UTC, blue, green, and the gray one I have here. All of this is in a steel case that's 41 millimeters wide, 12 millimeters thick, and 48 millimeters long. It has 20 millimeter lugs. It has 100 meters of water resistance and weighs about 156 grams on this bracelet. There are strap options, and Formex even sent me a bunch of straps for me to try on and to show you, but you gotta understand how lazy I am. It's hard to overestimate my laziness. I didn't try on any of the straps, so sorry everyone. The movement inside this watch is the ETA 2892 with a custom module made by Dubois de Praz, and this is adjusted to plus or minus 7 seconds per day. Plenty more on the movement soon. The watch has a 3-year warranty, and on the bracelet it's $3,990. On any strap from Formex, it's $3,850. When I first saw this watch, when I held this watch, I was sure that it was larger than 41 millimeters. It just got so much visual weight, which is a term I'm really trying to make happen for personal reasons. There's a lot going on with the dial and the case and the bezel. I think especially this bezel and the case shape make the watch look larger. But you can see on my 7-inch wrist, it's really nice. At 41 millimeters, it really doesn't wear large at all. It's not too heavy, it's not too long, and at 12 millimeters, it's pretty slim for a watch with all the complications it has. The shape of the case gives the watch a little extra bulk because it's somewhere between a traditional round watch shape case and a tonneau shape, like a cushion case shape, and you know what they say, more cushion for the pushers. And at under 160 grams, it's not heavy. It's not exactly light, but it's not heavy, so it's comfortable. I was actually a little surprised by the comfort in the same way that I was surprised by the actual dimensions. This looked larger and less comfortable than it actually is. And what's nice is that this bracelet clasp has a simple adjustment system. This is something Formex has done really well for as long as I've known about Formex. It has a close connection with a company in Switzerland that makes clasps and other components. The bracelet adjustment system just pops out and extends the bracelet by about 4 millimeters. I don't really like how it looks when it's fully extended, and there are no jokes to make about what I just said. Even the clasp that Formex offers on its straps has a nice adjustment system. You rarely see this on any kind of deploying clasp. Again, Formex sent me a strap and a deploying clasp, and I didn't use it because of laziness, that's all. The bracelet also has quick release spring bars, or I guess it's a quick release system. I love that these are becoming normal and expected on entry-level luxury watches from smaller brands. The big brands mostly seem to ignore useful features like this because they mostly seem to hate their customers. I mean, not you, of course. I'm sure Rolex cares very much what you think, and your loyalty to Rolex is understandable and reciprocal. Now, how does this thing work? Like I said, this is a GMT with a day-night indicator, a date, and a way to set the hour hand with pushers. Starting with the GMT complication, you just set that and the minutes with the crown. The crown will also adjust the hour hand and the day-night indicator and the date, but there are better ways of doing all of those things, and that's where we get to the pushers on the right side of the case. The upper pusher advances the hour hand 1 hour at a time, and the lower pusher jumps the hand of time in reverse, making you younger and thus dumber with each press, or it just moves the hour hand backward, whatever. And when the hour hand crosses into about 6 p.m., the day-night indicator turns dark blue. When it crosses into 6 a.m., it turns orange. Actually, there's a transitional gradient that starts at about 4:30 and ends at about 7 o'clock. It's kind of neat. The hour hand can also adjust the date, but that's kind of a slow way of doing it. There's actually a pusher on the side of the case at around 8 o'clock that advances the date. You probably should not use a metal tool to do this, but I'm all out of toothpicks. Honestly, the date is nearly useless to me here. I can't see it. The subdial shows every other date and in a small condensed font. It might look better than a traditional date window, but I think a date window would be easier to read. And what makes all this possible is the ETA 2892 with that special module made by Dubois de Praz. That module allows for the pushers for the hour hand that I really like. Dubois de Praz has been around for over 100 years and specializes on custom features like this. Audemars Piguet has used its work in Royal Oak chronographs, Heuer too, and Tudor in its Heritage chrono watches. The movement has about 42 hours of power reserve and is adjusted to plus or minus 7 seconds a day, so just outside of the cost chronometer specs. And independent of the movement, if you want to track yet another time zone, you can rotate the 48-click bezel to an offset. The dial has a lot of sections and textures, a lot going on, and it's all really well executed. Even if I don't like how some of it looks, like the 12, 3, 6, and 9 numerals, they are just super stylized. They're so stylized that they don't even look like numbers to me, but I'm not great with math or reading, so that might be on me. And the case also has a lot of interesting details. There are these matte recesses on the sides of the case. These I like. They're really in line with the super modern, almost futuristic look of the watch. I guess the dial numerals match that look too. The design is very holistic, I'll give it that. Now, if I know watch collectors, and for better or worse I do, I'm guessing that for the last few minutes a lot of you have been thinking, okay, this is cool, but that price, $4,000. Yeah, that's tough. And what I mean is that that's tough for potential buyers because this is a price range that Formex is new to. I think until this watch, the most expensive watch configuration from Formex is a Reef GMT that's around $2,300. Now, what I'm not saying is that this Stratos UTC isn't worth $4,000. It might be worth it for you. That's the thing with money and value and brains. It's subjective, and I can absolutely see why $4,000 makes sense for some collectors. And I've seen enough YouTube comments to know how critical people are going to be about this price, and I'll bet most of those comments are going to be missing the phrase, "for me." It's not too expensive, it just might be too expensive for you. And for others, this is a pretty fascinating watch and at a reasonable price. If you look for comparison watches that have a kind of travel time complication, I haven't found anything under $6,000, and that's used. Maybe there's some other brand doing something like this for a lower price. If you can think of something, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. Even with some of my criticisms, including what might be too high of a price for some people, I'm kind of really glad that Formex made this watch. It's useful, it's unexpected, it's a risk. And I think that's something, as a watch collecting community, I think that's something that we should encourage. Except my risky humor. Do not encourage my jokes, please.